If you would, please pray for both of them, Miss Dawn and Miss Katie. They'll probably maybe even take some questions, or you can talk to her after if you'd like to. They do have a nonprofit that they have, so if anyone wants to donate to their nonprofit, I can give you that website. I think I gave it to your mothers, at least the ones that are in my class. Ms. Carla may have done the same, I'm not sure. If not, I can send them out. So without any further ado, Miss Dawn and Miss Katie.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Dawn Simmons, and this is my daughter Katie. And just gonna tell y'all about our story. And hopefully y'all take it to heart, and it'll make a difference in y'all life. I'm mama to these 9. This is my family. This was in 2016 at my oldest son Ren's wedding. So this was, 7 years ago now? It doesn't seem that long ago, but yes, it's been a while. So this was in 2016, and like I said, this is his wedding, and we were all together for this. So, and here's just a little more recent picture of everyone. This is me and my husband Ray, and Ren, Katie, Shay, Rhett, Carly, Kyle, Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron. On December 17th of 2021, we were heading home from Monroe from Christopher's basketball game. We were coming back on I-49 when a drunk driver hit us head on. And Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron were killed that night. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lindy. Lindy was 20 at the time of the crash. She was our memory maker. If you were around Lindy, either knowingly or unknowingly, you were going to be a victim of her camera. She videoed, documented, and photographed everything. I'm so thankful for all those pictures and videos that she took, because they are an absolute treasure to my heart today. She was a sophomore at Nichols. She had just landed her dream job. She had been hired as the campus photographer. This was in November of 2021. She was supposed to start the job in the spring of 2022 for the spring semester, but that day never came for her. She was a phenomenal photographer. Her pictures stood out leaps and bounds above everyone else's. They were beautiful. She was the most creative person I have ever known in all my life. She was the go-to for decorating and just ideas to make things beautiful. She was just phenomenal with her creativity and her photography skills. It was just off the charts. She would film so many everyday life events. It wasn't just big events like weddings or graduations or birthday parties or things like that. Her and Cameron would pump gas at the gas station. Lindy's got the camera out. They fist bumping at the gas pump. They would be in Walmart. They would go find a little aisle. Lindy would set her camera up leaning against the canned goods, and they would find a little spot and do a little dance. Many videos of that. Her and Cameron had gone to the eye doctor. Lindy's got the camera on the down low. Cameron's trying to read the letters on the screen, and she can't see them. Lindy's caption, "This girl can't see with skeleton heads." I mean, she filmed just everyday events that at the time were just nothing, but now they are priceless memories for me. Lindy loved life, and I mean, she lived it to the absolute fullest. If you were going to go somewhere with Lindy, you will be laughing the entire time. She was so funny.
Oh, I want to go on Lindy's page.
Oh, okay. She was so funny. She just was just such a joyful person to be around. This is her best friend Cameron, and up here was another one of her best friends, Yasmin. They all went to Nichols together. The baby right there is her little boy, which Lindy was the godmother, and she only got to go to his first birthday party before her life was taken from her. So she, and this is Amiel, this is Katie's other little daughter right there, but she was also Cameron.
Christopher.
Oh, brother, okay, usually I think, okay, and then Christopher. Christopher was 17 at the time of the crash. Christopher was going to be valedictorian of his class. He was so determined and about his schoolwork. He was trying to make a 32 on his ACT. Before the crash, his highest score was a 26, and he said, "Mom, I'll have about 7 or 8 more times to take it," and I promise you, he would have achieved that goal. He wanted me to order him some study guides. He was just so insistent on his academic schoolwork, and he was an amazing athlete. For the crash on the way back, we were coming back from his basketball game. He won first team All-State for basketball. He also won the Golden Glove Award, and he was going to try out football for the first time. He was a junior at the time of the crash, and he was going to play football this year. He would be, like I said, he'd be a senior this year. We have had to attend so many empty chair events. It's been one of the hardest things. He was just such a remarkable young man. I honestly could say, if I'd say, "Lord, if I give me a son and I want him to be this, 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 and this," when I tell you Christopher checked every single box. He was known for his integrity. If Christopher would tell you something, you could count on it. You can count on his word. He was so full of integrity. He was just truly just a remarkable young man. And you can just see, this is his girlfriend Marissa right here. She was in the crash with us as well. Her and I were the only 2 survivors of the crash. So, he was just really such a beautiful boy. And Cameron was 15 at the time of the crash. She was 41 days short of her 16th birthday. 41 days short of getting her driver's license, which she was so excited for. She could not wait to get her driver's license. Cameron was the kindest person I have ever met. When she saw someone hurting, her little heart broke so bad. She'd be with me, we'd be leaving the Walmart. You know how sometimes they have the little homeless people who are down on their luck and they kind of asking for a little money. Well, when we passed, if I didn't have money in my purse, "Mom, go to the money machine." I mean, it truly just hurt her heart so bad. She was just so kind. So kind. She was so sweet. She was a cheerleader at ACS. She played softball as well. She had her permit, so her and I would drive a lot the last year. And I tell you, one of the hardest things today is I drive a lot alone, and I'm always looking for her. She was with me all the time, and she would put her little playlist on in the car, and she would sing and sing and sing. She had the most beautiful singing voice. I long and I look for her so much when I'm riding in the car. She was just so kind, just a beautiful, beautiful young lady.
Let's show a little bit about
you can just see, you know, they were kids just like y'all, so full of life. So full of life. You know, one man's decision caused this, you know. You need to just, before y'all get in vehicles, y'all need to be aware and make decisions before y'all get into vehicles. Things have to be settled in your heart before. You know, you can't wait till you're in these situations and then try and make the decisions. And, you know, drinking and driving, absolutely not. One man's decision that night took the lives of 3 innocent, beautiful children. We were innocent that night. We did nothing wrong. But because of one man's decision, our worlds have been flipped upside down forever. And this is some of the text from the night. I'll let Katie, this is what she had to do.
So on that night, I was at a Christmas party at my brother and sister-in-law's house, and I got a call from my dad around 10:29, I believe he called me. And I thought that was weird, because my dad doesn't call much less late on a Friday. And so the text between me and my best friend kind of showed what transpired that night. I had already called her and let her know about the crash because I wanted her to get in touch with Marissa's mom. And I was driving, I couldn't find her number, and I knew she's like my right-hand man. I knew she would know everything to do. So when we pulled up at the hospital, I went to the ER desk and I asked if my mom was there, my siblings, and they would only tell me that my mom and Marissa were there. And I just couldn't understand where my siblings were. I thought maybe they were airlifted somewhere. I really just had no idea. And we were all waiting outside the ER, and a state trooper called my dad and let us know that there were 2 fatalities, and one of them was the driver of our car, a blonde girl. And we figured that was probably Lindy, but until they said that name, I really didn't fully believe it. So I let Allie know we can't find my siblings, only my mom and Marissa are here. She said the hospital can't say where they were taken, and that's when I got the call. I said, it's Lindy. She said, a fatality? I said, yes. She said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I let her know what we knew about my mom's condition at that time. I said my mom's ankles are broken, she's in critical condition, which we later found out. I mean, she had, her spleen was bleeding, her sternum was broken, her ribs were broken, her legs were severely broken, her carotid artery was lacerated, which usually that's a fatal injury. So I said, we think Lindy is gone, but no one can tell us. And I said, it's not like we can get info. We're still not 100% sure Lindy is gone, but I think my brain is trying to give me hope. We still can't find any of the kids. Every hospital we call is saying they aren't there. And at this point, Facebook had already posted that there was a crash on I-49 with 2 fatalities, so we pretty much knew that was their crash, so we knew about where they were. So she also thought they were airlifted, and she starts spitting out numbers to me. Bill Platt, Bunkie General, Katie in Medical Center, Katie in St. Landry. She's giving me all these numbers. I'm calling. No one has them. So when the state trooper called my dad, he said they were closest to Opelousas, so that would be my best guess as to where they are. So I had called my mother-in-law earlier. She was already on her way. When she got there, she said, let's just go to Opelousas. If no one can tell us, let's just go. So I had already called Opelousas, and they told me that they weren't there. So I called again, and I said, I know you said Cameron Simmons, Christopher Simmons, and Lindy Simmons aren't there, but can you at least tell me if someone's there that got in a crash? She said, yes, you can come identify them. So I said, well, what do you mean identify? She said, you can come look at them. And I knew what that meant, but I still didn't want to believe what that meant. So just got to Opelousas General. No one's even here to check in. I only talked to a security guard. Nurse came out and he said, look, he said, the young lady that's here is expired. That's the term they use in the medical field. I said, okay. He said, can you describe what your sisters look like? And I couldn't get the words out. So my husband said, show him a picture. So I showed him a picture of Lindy and Cameron, because I'm thinking it's Lindy at this point, because we were already told that she had passed away. And they had no identification. So he walks us back to the room, and I already knew what that meant. And I walked in. She was in a body bag, zipped up. The doctor had to unzip it, show me her face. I saw it was her, so I called my dad, and I said, Dad, they got it wrong. It's Cameron, it's not Lindy. So at this point in time, I'm thinking, I need to find Lindy and Christopher, because whatever hospital they at, they probably want to know where their family's at, where's their mom, dad. They're probably scared. So call my dad, let him know. Then my mother-in-law said, can you please find out where the other two kids are? We need to find them. He goes, make a few calls, comes back, and he said, I found your brother. He's at Bunkie General. I said, oh, thank God. I said, at least he's okay. And I said, well, I know he's not okay, but at least he's alive. And he shook his head no. And I said, what about my sister, my other sister? He said, she's still stuck in the car. I said, is she alive? And he said, no. So I had to go give her date of birth and her address and all of her information so they could identify her body. Then I had to come drive to Bunkie General, do the same thing, identify my brother's body. The coroner hadn't pronounced him dead yet. So he still had an intubation tube. He was still hooked to all the wires. They had tried. They tried to save him. And this is the car. After the game, they stopped at Subway. You can see their Subway cups. Just a normal trip home, just like you would take. My sister Lindy that was driving, she passed away instantly. She never had a chance. So she died at 9:01. And Cameron made it to 10:33. They were on the way to Lafayette General with her, but they had to divert to Opelousas because she was coding. And Christopher, they were on the way to Rapides with him. And they had to divert here to Bunkie because he was coding and they didn't think he would make it to Rapides.
And this is just, like Katie had mentioned earlier, these are just some of my injuries that she had said earlier. And you know, it's crazy to say, but I tell you, I'm so glad now that it's crazy to say that I was injured, because I tell you, I could not have taken the weight of losing my 3 youngest children had I been just normal the way I am now. The crash was on December 17th. I didn't find out that my children had passed away till December 19th. Can you imagine what my family had to go through for those 2 days, thinking, how are we going to tell Mom? How are we going to do this? I can kind of remember coming in and out of consciousness when I was in ICU, and I was so weak and so broken, I would just barely whisper, like, where's the kids? And then I would just kind of go back out of consciousness. But I can kind of just barely remember, I'm not hearing, like, Christopher's in room 302 with 2 broken arms and legs, like they just would say, Mom, just worry about yourself. So in the back of my mind, like it just didn't add up. So she was so busy with trying to figure out all the arrangements and just all the things, you know, with 3 young people passing away like that. She didn't come see me until Sunday afternoon, which was December 19th, after I'd had the first surgery on my right leg. And her and I have an extremely close relationship. So when I saw her, I looked her dead in the eye and I said, "Where are the kids?" And she was like, well, first she walked in, "Hey, Mom," and I'm like, "Where are the kids?" And she started to back up. And we had a pastor, one of the pastors, the many pastors that were there, pushed her forward and said, "Katie, tell her it's okay with the doctors and you need to do it." So she said, "Mom, I'm so sorry." She said, "They gone." I said, "All of them?" And she said, "Yes, I'm so sorry." But I was so broken physically, I still couldn't take it in. So the way it happened was probably the best way that it could have happened. It was like an incremental way that I kind of just began to take it all in. So it was one of the hardest things I have ever experienced in my life. One of
Still experience.
Yes, and still experience. And this is Marissa. Some of her injuries, she had left femur fracture, dislocated spine, C6 and C7 disc bulge, left foot sprain, right hand fracture, C1 and C2 ligament sprain, and severe whiplash. She is back playing ball today and doing the things that she did before, but her little heart is broken. You know, she's a senior this year. I'm hoping that after she can get out of that atmosphere, that hopefully it'll begin to be a little better for her. But even though her and Christopher were only 16 and 17, I am convinced that this was going to be his wife. I mean, they were meant to be together. They were just the cutest little couple. And Christopher was an old soul. I mean, you know, he found a girl and like that was going to be his wife.
And I'm convinced she missed out on scholarships.
Yes.
She had to sit out her whole junior year for softball, and she's an excellent ball player.
She's a fantastic pitcher. So, this the ripple effects of all this. It goes on and on and on and on. And
That's just some more pictures.
yeah.
Ladies, excuse me, I mentioned to you earlier that I'm gonna go on to the 8th grade game in Plocherville. But before I leave, I have to tell you that I've never, in 30 years as a priest, I've been in traumas before, but never anything this awful. And it's truly a blessing that you can live to say this story to these young people and to all of you that are seated here. As we were looking at the children, as they were telling us about them one at a time, y'all, I could just see y'all's faces. Did y'all see any of them that looked just like y'all? I could see it on the video. And it's just, that's the way how quickly things like this happen. One person making that bad decision, that choice, ruined all of this. This is terrible. And out of respect to you, I've waited and waited. I didn't want to leave because the story is compelling. But please know how we appreciate your doing this, and our church will make an offering to your foundation, and that will be coming shortly in the next few days. But I thank you both very, very much. And kids, the only thing that will, assuage is a big word, the only thing that will soothe their hearts is to know that those lives were not given in vain, and that it would save any one of you or any of your family members through this message tonight. And that will be my prayer for you wherever you go. God
Thank
bless you
so
both.
much. Thank
And
you.
please excuse me.
Thank you so
Now
much.
you go.
Thank you.
Because I'm sure y'all travel exactly where the crash happened. It's not far down the road.
From here. And like I said, we were just a normal family, coming home from a basketball game, doing nothing wrong.
This is the day
So this is January the 3rd. The crash was on December 17th. And I don't know if y'all noticed, both Katie and I, we say the crash because this was no accident. It was no accident because when you get behind the wheel of a car intoxicated, everyone knows how the consequences of that can be, right? When you get behind the wheel of a car drunk, a lot of times this is the consequence of that. So that's why we say it was a crash. It was not an accident. But this was on January 3rd. The crash was on December 17th. So they had to collaborate with the doctors. I mean, they had to figure out when to do the funeral. And y'all had decided on January 4th. So this is January 3rd. This is the first time we see, I see the kids from December 17th. I tell you, this was at a funeral home. The actual service was January 4th, and it was at our church because the funeral home wasn't going to be big enough to have a funeral for 3 children. So I'll never forget that day. We were behind the doors, and knowing what those doors were going to open up to, I tell you, it just took my breath away. Just picture this. Picture your 3 closest people in your life. Friends, siblings, whatever. 3 people that you do life with every single day. I mean, y'all talk every day, y'all see each other every day. I mean, your people. At 9:01 they here, 9:02 they gone. You know, you can't go back. You can't say, oh, you know, I wish I would have, I should have did this, I should have did that. You know, once you make a decision like that and this kind of thing happens, it's done. You cannot go back. That's why it's so important that you have to make decisions before y'all get behind the wheel of a car that you do not deter from. If you have problems with your cell phone and text and all that we're driving, put it away. You know, anything that's going to distract you, you have to make these decisions before, because every decision you make has a consequence. You know, and unfortunately, the mindset of a lot of people today with drinking and driving is not getting caught. But I'm hoping that our story will make people think that I don't want to do this to a family. I don't want to kill 3 innocent people. I don't want to ruin a whole family's life because of a decision that I made. You
I
know.
don't think we mentioned that the drunk driver died.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to tell y'all too. That night, I don't know if y'all are aware, but there were 5 deaths that night. 5 deaths. My 3 children, the drunk driver, and then down the road they were diverting traffic.
Bunky exit.
Bunky exit. They were diverting traffic, and an elderly man, we assuming maybe blinded by the lights or something, rear-ended a state trooper car, and he died as well. The drunk driver was 3 times the legal limit, and he was in his underwear. 3 times the legal limit, driving in his underwear.
Going 90.
Going 90 miles an hour. We were doing 75, which is the speed limit on I-49, and no brakes were applied. I mean, y'all saw my car. I mean, it literally disintegrated. We can go to the crash site right now, and I promise you, we will still be able to find pieces of my vehicle. This is, go back to the slide before. This is my youngest son now, Kyle. For 2 hours, I said, Kyle, bring me to Lindy. Bring me to Christopher. Bring me to Cameron. 2 hours, he rolled me back and forth to each child. Bring me to Lindy. Bring me to Christopher. Bring me to Cameron. Can you imagine your three close people that are real close in your life, and they just in three caskets in front of you? People that you love, people that you do life with, people that you have contact with every single day, people that you love, that are near and dear to your heart. That's what the consequence can be to making these bad decisions. Life is so fragile. It can be taken from you in a moment. You know, a vehicle is a heavy piece of machinery. You can kill someone in it, and you can be killed in it. It's nothing to take lightly. So, you know, there are two sides to this coin. Either you can be the one who makes a bad decision and cause this kind of stuff. Can you imagine living with that? Can you imagine the weight of causing this kind of tragedy in a family's life? You know, we were innocent. We did nothing wrong that night. We were the ones that got caught. But there are two sides to that. Either you can be the one who caused it, or, like us, we were innocent. I tell you, if God puts something on your heart, do not delay in doing it. If God is nudging your heart, don't delay in doing it. When I tell you, you are not guaranteed tomorrow. Ask Jesus into your heart. Live for Him the best way you can each and every day. Have a relationship with Him. You are not guaranteed tomorrow. I was very guilty of thinking this could never, nothing like that could ever happen to our family. But I'm here to tell you that it can. It can happen to you. We were just a very normal family, just coming home from a basketball game. You know, please take these things to heart. These kids were so full of life. They were just like y'all. Small town, going to a high school basketball game, trying to get home to start the Christmas holidays. They were killed 8 days before Christmas. I got home from the hospital the day after Christmas. All the presents under the tree. See these shoes I have on? Lindy wanted these shoes, and I told her, no, I got you enough, because she was getting ready to go to New York. So I got them, of course, but she didn't know. I was so excited to give her these shoes. When we all started opening all the presents, when I tell you, when I had forgotten about it with everything that had happened, when I opened these shoes, oh, it broke my heart. All their presents were still under the tree. But because of one man's decision, they gone. You know, every decision you make, it has a consequence. And once those things happen, you can't go back. You can't go back. You can't, you know, you can't have a redo. It's done. This is right down the road from here. That's the crash site.
I think it's like 5, 4, 6 miles from the Bunkie exit.
Yeah, I think so. So, you know, I tell you, my faith in God has been the only thing that has gotten me through this. God is good. Do I understand why this happened? No, I don't. But I can tell you, He is a good and perfect Father. He has carried me through this, and when I tell you this, I have never experienced so much pain and grief in my heart in my entire life. When I go home now, used to be a house of 9 kids. Overnight, 3 kids are gone. I had to retire from my job because my legs were broken so bad. I was a mail carrier. And we have empty nests. When I tell you the silence is so loud, it literally feels like my house has lost its soul. I struggle there. Their rooms, everything's still the same. She'll come every now and then. How is it when you come?
I died. I might have went, twice this year. I can't. I try to go to visit my dad, but I just can't go there and see those empty rooms with all their clothes.
Yep. Nothing's changed. There are no signs of life. It's just dead silence. There's no laughter. There's no joking around. They were always doing something. Lindy had the camera out all the time. They were always doing something. So, life is hard. It's difficult. We live in a very, very fallen world. Moments like these that has happened to us, losing my 3 children, believe it or not, it has brought me even closer to the Lord. I try and take, I say it like this: I am so thankful that the story did not end when Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron were taken to heaven. It is a painful, painful thing, but it is priceless. And Lord, I do my very best to give you thanks and honor you in the most painful time of my life. And in these painful times is when the Lord touches your heart. You reach realms of God that you can't get when things are going good, because you need Him. I need Him to take my next breath. And I offer that up as a sacrifice to praise to Him. And it's in those moments that God somehow takes everything that's all out of sorts in my heart, and He puts it in place for me to continue to move forward. It's a daily fight, a struggle. I fall and God brings me back. He picks me up. And as y'all grow older, y'all are going to experience things, I pray, never to this magnitude. But in those moments when y'all are going through really, really tough times, I promise y'all, if y'all walk it through with God, truly walk it through with Him, talk with Him, have that relationship with Him, I promise you, He will never leave you or forsake you. And in those tough moments, that's when He shapes us and molds us into the people that He wants us to be, that He has called us to be. Because He has a plan for each and every one of you. And that is a plan of hope. I don't know why this happened to my kids, but I know God's promises are true. And I trust Him, and I love Him more today than I ever have in my life. I've been serving God for 35 years. You know, when things are going good in your life, and you know, get that close relationship with God. You know, stay good with Him. Keep the communication lines open with Him, because trials will come. They will come, and in those hard moments, when things are good, you stand on that faith, and it'll bring you through these hard times. This is their resting place right here. I go there every single day. I keep a grave cleaning kit in my car. I was such a hands-on mom. I didn't know, I didn't know what I could do for them. So I go every day and clean that gravesite. They have a beautiful gravesite, but it's just that's where I have to go visit them. That's where we celebrate their birthdays. Lindy and I share a birthday. I would always think, man, I hope after I'm gone, Lindy won't have too hard of a time celebrating her birthday. Never dreaming that I would be the one that would have to celebrate a birthday without her. Her and I's birthday is October 24th. Christopher just had his golden birthday. His birthday is October 18th. We celebrated both at a cemetery. Cameron just would be 17 right now. We celebrate her birthday at a cemetery. From one man's decision. Y'all, what could be worth that? What could be worth that? You know, and I know every person who drinks and drives, this is not the consequence, but are you willing to take a chance? How would you feel if you carried the weight of this from a decision? This is real life, y'all. Y'all are all getting and becoming of age where y'all decision making is going to have more and more and more of a consequence. Always try and do the right thing. You know, look, we're human. We may not always get it right, but I can tell you, God knows your heart. If you try and do it right, He looks at the heart.
This is just some more videos of them.
So, I mean, they were kids just like y'all. They were the absolute joy of my life. So I just want y'all to just take this story with y'all. Try and remember it when y'all are faced with making decisions that could change the rest of y'all life in a second. You know, Christopher took his last breath right here in y'all town. It was very, very emotional for us to drive in here today. And you know, you can even go a step further. If you are not driving and say you're a passenger with someone who you suspect may be under the influence of something, or just maybe cutting up, or just doing something that you think is not safe. First, if you can, try and take the keys from them or whatever. You know, whatever you think you can do. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. But I tell you what, stand up for yourself. Do it afraid. It doesn't matter if they get mad at you. You know what? That's truly not a friend. Don't ever risk your own life if you suspect even the slightest thing. You know, if they can't respect your decision, oh well, they really wasn't a friend anyway. You know, do it afraid. Make a phone call. Tell your mom to come get you. Do what you need to do. Because I tell you, it can happen like that. I never ever dreamed that on December 17th, 2021, that these 3 kids would not see December 18th. I have no memory of the crash. We left Subway at 7:06. Crash was at 9:01. I guess the impact or whatever it is, the whiplash, I don't know what, but it knocked my memory out, which I guess is a good thing. Because my Lindy died right on the side of me. There was a witness who said I kept saying, Lindy, 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 Lindy. They were so beautiful. They were so full of life. It was so senseless and preventable. These things are so preventable. They have so many other ways to get around driving drunk. So please, please make good decisions on things you can control. There are so many things that you can control. Make good decisions with that. In our case, we just did nothing wrong. But I guarantee you, I know where my kids are. They are home. Does that make my day easier? I still struggle every day, but I do have that hope. That's where my hope is. I know that I will see them again. My days are still very hard, though. We have started a foundation called Simmons 3. We are planning on doing things like this to spread awareness. Hopefully make young people like yourselves make better decisions, because I know the thought process is nothing like that's going to happen to me. I didn't think that was going to happen to us either. But I'm telling you, it can. Life changes very quickly, and things like this, I mean, our lives will never be the same. I will be a broken-hearted mama till I take my last breath. We also at our softball field, in their honor, we had some from Clico, which Katie's husband works there, and my husband worked at Clico. They made a donation in their honor. They put all lights on the softball field. We have gotten a new scoreboard in their honor. We did a 1-year anniversary basketball tournament with a blood drive and a fundraiser for a man who needed a kidney. Raised money for them. He ended up getting his kidney. For Cameron's birthday, we did a just little quick thrown together fundraiser. We were able to get over $5,000 worth of beds for foster kids. Just so many things done in their honor. And, you know, they say beauty comes from all things, and we see good things that have come from this, but at the end of the day, it's still not worth it to me. It's hard. Our days are hard. I mean, my family, my life as I knew it prior to December 17th, that life is dead. It's gone. So I am trying to adjust. We are trying to adjust into this new life. But it's extremely difficult. 2 of my children have had to be admitted into inpatient therapy because they could not handle the weight of losing their 3 baby siblings. They were hospitalized each 7 days. When I tell you there's not an area of our life that this hasn't affected, our hearts are broken. Broken. We love
a lot of these kids have prom this Saturday,
okay?
so it's just perfect timing for them to hear this message, to make good decisions, but also to be aware of what could potentially be out on the road that you may not have control over.
That's
But
right.
to just, you know, get your parents to come get you. Call your parents. They're not gonna be mad at you. They may, but even it's better than them losing.
You know, it's even good to have that conversation now. Okay, Mom and Dad, I don't ever plan on drinking underage. I don't plan on it. If I were ever to make a bad decision, and I would do that, can I call you? Get all this, that's what I'm saying. Decisions have to be made ahead of time. Another thing, Life 360. You know, try not to be on those phones while y'all driving. I think it's a free app. I think there's a free one and a paid one. You know, let your mom, your best friends know if you're not answering the phone, say, always look and see if I'm driving. There are things that you have to do ahead of time. Have that conversation with your parents, though. You know. And that way, you won't be afraid to call them. Now look, I'm not advocating, don't square it away with your parents and then go drink. Please don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, do the right thing. You know, me personally, I have a 0 tolerance for drinking. Drinking murdered my children. I have a 0 tolerance for it. You know, but I live in a real world. I know these things are gonna occur. They're gonna happen. But it is very important that you set things in place before. You know, like I said, have these conversations with your parents. Y'all get the Life 360 app. Anything that distracts y'all, fix it. You know, do what needs to be done. Driving is a very serious thing. It is a heavy piece of machinery. You can kill someone in it. You can be killed in it. I mean, it took the lives of one of the 3, you know, those kids were the joy of my life. They were the absolute joy of my life. A part of all of us died that day.
And some of their parents may have a lot of their parents work at General, so potentially, I don't know, but they're nurses there, you know? And so it's been very far-reaching, not just to your family, which is obviously the most impact, but also our community. Miss Melissa and I, that night, we were coming back from Lafayette for our little girl's birthday party. And we got home at 8:30. We passed right there. We were coming the opposite direction. And I had forgotten until Melissa just told me, and she said, do you remember how we felt? I'm like, oh my goodness, because it could have been us, you know? We had like 8 little girls in our car. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody, that's what I'm saying. It can happen to you. I pray it doesn't. I pray it doesn't. But we live in a fallen world. There are no guarantees. You know, you are not guaranteed tomorrow.
Do y'all have any questions for Ms. Dawn or for Katie? I know this is a heavy topic for you guys. It's a lot to digest. I realize that. You're teenagers. These kids are just like you. And those videos are very real. I know that you can see yourself in them. You can see your friends in them. You've probably been in situations where you've been in the car with a drunk driver, or you may have even done it yourself. And all we're doing here is asking you to think about those things the next time that happens. Make the phone call. Talk to somebody, okay? Or call me. I don't care. I will come get you. Mr. Robert, I know he will too. There's people that will get you out of that situation, okay? We're just trying to bring awareness to that. And so we're so grateful for you guys to share your story. I know this is not an easy thing. It can't be. It's not easy for us to hear, so I can't imagine how it feels to live it. And we're so grateful because it's such an important message. It really is.
And I can tell you, it is a miracle that I am able to do this. When I tell you for 3 months, she had to finish my sentences. I was so broken. I couldn't even finish my sentence. I mean, our days are still very hard. The second year, it's in a different way, but the reality has set in. You know, I think the first year you're almost in shock.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you in this, like you're going through the motions, but you're just not there. But the second year rolls around, we're 15 months in, and when I tell you the reality that these kids are not here, it breaks my heart every day. I long for these kids. They were my life. I did life with them. We were at her house all the time. We missed everything about them. The laughter, the cutting up, the videos. One man's decision.
Yeah, my 13-year-old these were her little built-in best friends. We took trips. It was always fun. Now it's just quiet, boring. She doesn't even want to come half the time anymore. She lost her best friend that night too.
She did.
So this weekend, wear your bracelets to prom as a reminder. If you look at that, you're going to remember what we talked about tonight, and you're going to remember. Let me not make that decision. Okay.
Don't do that to your mama.
Yeah.
Please don't do that to your mama.
Some of their moms are probably waiting outside.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We're so grateful.
Thank you so much for coming from your area and making the trip and coming to talk to us. We really appreciate it. And I think one of the things that I find is many people blame God and go the other direction. And they turn that hate and that anger all inside, and y'all done the opposite.
You are quite a testament.
I need him to breathe sometimes. I literally need him to breathe. You know, y'all see me right here. This is like 5% of me. The other 95% is on my knees praying to God to give me the strength to make it through the breath. When I tell you,
And she had a hard life. Her mom died when she was 7. Her dad disowned her. She didn't have an easy life, but I don't think any of that compares to this.
nothing compares to losing these kids.
And I think that's a good point. The only way you can get through something like
It's
this
the only way I
is
can
with
make
your
it.
faith.
Relationships with God.
Because, you know, I am intentionally mourning with God. Because if you don't mourn with Him and you don't have that hope, it will lead to unbelief. And that is not a, you know, I can't imagine going through this without God. I cling to Him closer than I ever had before because He is my hope. And I know that I will see them again. My days are still hard, but He is my hope. Even on my saddest day, because of Him, I can still experience joy. And that is only through Him. When I tell you on my own, I would not even have a will to live. He is my strength. I trust His promises. And I love Him more today, despite what happened. He is a good and perfect Father. If you can get that in your heart, no matter, it puts my heart at rest. I know that no matter what the circumstances are, He is a good and perfect Father, and that He will never leave me or never forsake me, and He will walk with me through every situation that I have to go through in my life, and that He will turn it. He will turn those ashes into beauty eventually. We may not see it right away, but He will. He is a good and perfect Father. And it puts my heart at rest, knowing that no matter what the circumstances are, Lord, You got me, because You are a good Father.
Shelby, you want to close this in a prayer real quick? And then we have one thing we have to mention to y'all after the prayer.
Okay. God, thank You for bringing us here tonight. Please give us open hearts and open minds to understand, listen to these words. Allow them to enter our hearts, enter our minds, and use our wisdom to make good judgments, good decisions as we go forward as young adults and older adults to do the right thing. I pray that Dawn and Katie continue their ministry. Thank them for coming tonight. Thank You, Lord, for allowing them to come tonight. Please be with them always. Know that they will always be in our prayers. Please watch over them and watch over the souls of these 3 children. Amen.
Just real quick, guys,